You are now listening to Tired and Triggered podcast, produced by Guerrero Film Company.
Hey besties, welcome back to Tired and Triggered. This is going to be one of those not so feel good episodes, but it's important and I feel like it's something that needs to be talked about. And I think that we have a pretty unique perspective that we can bring just because of the two different cultures. So we're going to get into everything going on right now with all the immigration and the ICE. I can say as an American, I can understand the enforcement of the rules and the laws but while coming from being married into a family of the Hispanic culture, I definitely care very deeply about the fairness, the family divide, and just the Hispanic community in general right now.
Yeah, I feel like it's very important. Like you said, it's we have kind of from both sides
Different
yeah, different
perspectives, yeah.
perspectives. Uh, I feel like it's very important to talk about it. It's okay. My biggest thing is it's okay not to have the same opinion, not to think the same. You might not like what I have to say, and I might not like what you have to say, but I respect it, and I hope that you guys can respect what we have to say or what our opinions are. For me, the biggest thing is it's just really upsetting that they're splitting up families, and I
Yeah.
understand. Like I see it from both sides. I know being here illegally is a crime. It is, you know, but you
But
have to
it's
kind of
it's a
see it.
minor
Yeah,
it's a minor citation. It's
yeah,
not like a federal
yeah. It's more civil.
crime.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
feel like
committing murder
yeah,
or
I feel like it's more of a be human, be kind of think about
be
because be
compassionate.
compassionate. Yeah, be humble. Be just open your heart a little bit and understand what all of the people are going through. And like I said, I understand. But the thing is that not a lot of people, the first thing that comes out of people's mouth is just, well, why can't they become legal? Why can't they just fix their status? Why
Well, I
can't
know
those?
I know personally firsthand just from people that I know how hard the process is. They don't make it
Yeah,
very
it's
easy.
very hard, and
It's,
a
in
lot of
my personal opinion, I think it's like a money scam. I think it's just a way
it's
that
like if
these
you don't have the
immigration
money, you
lawyers are
can't
just
do
taking
it.
money and taking, but not even that, they're just taking money and taking money, but nothing's getting done. No
No.
process is being done.
Yeah, and it's like there's like a huge checklist of stuff that you have to be able to prove and documents that you have to give and
And these are also people that were escaping things from their homeland at the time many, many, many years ago.
yeah.
And it's just like you lose sight of
Yeah,
that,
you lose.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's just sad that a lot of people. In my personal opinion, I feel like that before the president that took office now that is in office now there has always been racism. There has always been racism since before us before but now that we have a president that is just out and open about how his feelings are towards immigrants. I feel like a lot of racist people have come out of the woodworks and are just not scared to be out and open about it. And like I said, it's okay to not like a certain race. It's okay not to agree with people, but just be human, be nice, be if you don't like them, just don't worry about them. Move along. But some people are really making it a point to be ugly and to just make you feel like trash. Like
and from my perspective, I agree. I absolutely agree with every single thing that you just said. From my perspective, because I know you're pro, not Trump.
mhm.
From my perspective, I am for Trump for a lot of reasons, not for that. But I feel like when you get politics involved, you have to kind of like pick your poison,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
So I
mhm.
feel like on the opposite side, there were a lot of other things that weren't with my
Mhm.
agreement. So it's like you've got to kind of pick and it's unfortunate, but I feel like politics it's just corrupt in
Mhm.
general. Like
Mhm.
you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't either way. And how you were saying like how we can have different opinions. The same thing goes for the opposite party too, because I feel like they can be very cutthroat. Like, if you're for Trump, I can't be friends with you. Or if you're this and you believe in this, then I can't do this. And if you believe in Trump, then you hate Mexican. That's not true. That, like, we can, like, have different beliefs and still be for one another.
Yeah.
Because I've even seen it too. I have personally seen firsthand, like, on Facebook and things, where I have a lot of Hispanic friends. I have a lot of Hispanic clients. I have a lot of Hispanic family, even like with my own family, not just my married family. You know, so I feel like I've seen a lot of hate towards my community now because of that. Because I've seen things like, oh, you know, how you're going to be losing people on job sites. Well, all the white people are on the side of the road on fentanyl and you know what I mean? Like, I've seen posts like that too. So it's kind of hard because, like, it kind of turns into like a tit for tat, or ugly to ugly type deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like every race, every single race, even the richest race, the poorest race, have the people that are, you know, committing crimes. They have murderers, they have rapists. We understand that. Like, at
See, in the border control or the deportation of people who are committing crimes, absolutely. But unfortunately, it is beyond that at this point.
Yeah, right now they're really just targeting us because of our skin color, because of the language we speak, because of how we look.
And that's scary because, like, my husband, people make assumptions that he doesn't speak English all the time. People make assumptions that, you know, he's not an American citizen. Or I don't know how many times we've been places, they're like, well, where are you from? He's like, Chicago. And they're like, yeah, no, but what country are you from? And he's like, I'm from the United States of America.
And I feel like that I'm very on the fence. Like, I'm very ready to jump at somebody, only because that always happens. Like, that always happens. And it's
I am a very defensive wife. I don't know how many times, like, this actually happened when we bought our house. The other real estate agent was speaking to Indian only Spanish. And I'm like, does he think you don't speak English? It's the assumption that people make. But that is scary because of what's going on now. It's like, if he's targeted based off of the fact that he's Hispanic, you know, and it's like, we're in a time right now where people who are here legally and did all the right things, or were even born here and were born American citizens, are having to prove their citizenship just because of their culture.
We're just being put in one
pot.
Like, if we look a certain way, we speak Spanish. If we look Hispanic, we all get put into one. It doesn't matter if you were born here, you know, somewhere else. And a big thing for me is where I have noticed, in my personal opinion, that as soon as you say immigrants, as soon as you say illegals, they think about Mexicans.
Oh, you assume Hispanics, yeah.
That they don't have no other race, no other, like,
people.
nothing.
You know, people say that all the time, of like how when they're speaking to me, because I do, like I said, I do know I'm within the Hispanic community, but I'm not Hispanic, right? And you hear a lot, they're like, oh, well, what do you know about immigration, or what do you know about this, or what do you know about that? Well, my dad was not born in this country. He's an American citizen. He, you know, did all the things to have that done. But people don't look at my dad and ever think like, oh, he had to gain citizenship or whatever the case may be. People assume that that's only
because
the Hispanic culture.
Because he's white complected,
Yeah.
blurred eyes.
He's from Germany.
Hair.
Yeah.
And it's like, I did have a conversation with him, and it was like a lot of what he had been through. My parents.
He had to do the testing, the paperwork. He had to do all the things.
But you would never ever think, like, you know, if it was dark-skinned Mexican and your dad,
you would never
white,
think like, oh, he was.
No.
You would think he was born and raised in this country. Yeah.
And like I said, that's what I don't like.
So I do have that perspective too. Yeah. I have that against me. Like, yes, I may be white, but I do know
and your dad has been through. Like,
I do know the stuff that he had to go through, how he came to, obviously I don't know personally, I just know based off of his experiences that he has opened up about, but my dad was brought to a country and came to a new country where he did not know any English, and he was like an outsider. And I just know just from, you know, wisdom of what he has been through and the things that he has shared, and then I just know, like, family-wise, things that are happening, and it's just, don't make that assumption just because I'm not Hispanic, or don't make that assumption just because I'm white that I don't vouch with you or understand, because I do.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't like that because there is a lot. I mean, immigrants come from all over the
All
world.
over the
You
place.
know, India, Asian people, you know, African people, you know, whatever, and they don't get as much scrutiny as we do as Hispanics. In certain
Right.
areas, because we all have our struggles. Regardless of what color you are, we all have our struggles. But
Oh,
like I
yeah.
said, every single race has their bad apples, and I feel like you should, yeah, of course, 1,000% pick those bad apples and take them and deport them
They're just going
and do.
about it so
But
wrongly.
it's like they're just if there's 30 of them, 30 people, they just ask, you know, take them now, ask questions later. I was looking up some, you know, uh statistics, and they were like they were over 170 US citizens that had been brought into ICE.
Well,
um
I was doing some research myself, and this year's the highest numbers of detention centers and deportation rates.
it's at an all-time high right now.
Which, and people
It's
see those
crazy.
things, and they're like, hell yeah, we're getting rid of the illegals. But what you're not seeing is the conditions that they're going through. That yes, it is technically a crime to be here illegally, but it's not like, I mean, they have rapists, they have pedophiles, they have murderers, they have some really awful human beings that are American citizens that are living lavishly in conditions compared to the people who were here illegally,
Yeah,
and some legally.
Yeah.
They are withholding and holding people in detention centers and holding people in cells that are actual legal citizens.
Yeah, and like I said, they take them now, ask questions later, and that's causing like a snowball effect, because of course they're gonna get out, they're gonna sue, you know, sue ICE, sue whoever
Right.
they needed to sue, because that's not something that you do. They are American citizens, either
Well,
born here or naturalized here, and you're literally putting them all in a pot, not respecting their, you know, their amendment rights. Like, this
and
is
the
ridiculous.
thing is too, it's the anxiety and the fear that it is instilling in families and people who are citizens in this
Yeah, well, I
country.
am legal, and you know, I have a lot of anxiety, and this is all bringing a whole new thing in my brain. Like, dude, I am legal in this country, and I can be picked up. And you know, spend 3, 4, 5 days in the detention center until they decide they want to ask me my status, and then let me go. But who's gonna take that trauma away from those people that have
Exactly.
had to go through that? You know, and
The
they have.
trauma of these children.
Yeah.
And the thing too is like I said, as an American citizen, I stand behind the rule of law, because of the fact that if we didn't have rules or we didn't have laws, this would be
Oh yeah.
a freaking shit show.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, I believe that there should be boundaries. I believe that there should be respect, and I believe that we should have compassion.
And regardless of your legal status, regardless of your gender, regardless of your ethnicity, you should have respect. They should respect us. They should respect our rights, and they should respect us as humans. Period. You know, they were saying that they had a lot of people that were coming out of detention centers, and how they described their stay there is as animals, as
Yeah.
caged animals, because
It's very inhumane.
they
Inhumane conditions.
yeah.
I looked into that myself,
Yeah.
as far as like mistreatment of no food and no water, being held in holding cells that they're not supposed to
Overly
actually be
crowded
kept in,
people.
that they were kept there for weeks or months at a time in holding cells.
Yeah. Because yeah, those holding cells are only supposed to be good for, or you're only supposed to be in those holding areas for about 72 hours, no
Yeah.
more than that. And people are being held there for weeks
And months.
and months at a time, and like they're not receiving proper medical care. They've had a lot of cases where women have had miscarriages, and stillborn births from
Yeah.
them not receiving medical care, and that is very inhumane. That is
And
very
that's the thing, and especially in America, we're all about, being the land of the free and, under God, one nation under God, and all these things. Like, what kind of religious person could you be, or what kind of child of God could you be to wish such ill on these people who are, even though they're not your culture, they're your brothers and sisters in Christ, right? And these same people that are like Bible thumpers, this and that, like, these things are the same people that are wishing these things on
I feel
people.
like they're the biggest hypocrites out of all of them. Just in my opinion, if you are a believer in Christ, if you are, like she said, a Bible person, you would
We all bleed red.
You would know that God would not like what you guys are doing. What the government is doing to us. They would not like it. He would not like it. He would not do that. He died for us, and we're not doing him justice and acting like we are. Because right now, we are in a place where we are scared to even go to the ER. It's a life or death situation. They are not going to the ER because they are scared of being, not being able to leave that ER if it's not in handcuffs, because the doctors are calling ICE, are calling
And that's
CBP.
insane, because one thing about American healthcare is that you legally cannot be turned away. Like, all right, y'all, let's take a quick break. This podcast is brought to you by Guerrero Film Co. I'm Jordan Guerrero, co-owner, as well as the owner of Jordan Guerrero Photography. If you have an event coming up, a wedding, milestone portraits that you need done, or even branding content for your business, go check out our socials and let's get you booked.
Hey, y'all, for all your concrete needs, Dry Stick Concrete is the way to go. Give us a call or text for a free quote, 985-969-8016.
And now people are refusing it because of the fact of that.
They're literally,
It is
not going to the
instilling
doctor.
it is instilling fear in people. It's instilling anxiety in people. We touch base on that, but it's also it is creating disappointment and steering people away from the immigration system, because people are preaching about how, well, you should do it legally. Well, politically and immigration wise, I don't think anybody in this Hispanic community right now feels like that can be even trusted.
They have people that are going into their, monthly check-ins, and they're leaving in handcuffs. They're leaving to be deported, and it's like they were doing their part legally. They were paying the fees. They were showing up. They were
in the
going to their
process
monthly
of doing
check-ins.
all the things that everyone's screaming. Well, make sure you're doing this and doing that and blah, 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 blah. And you should have done these things before you entered the country. But you don't know anyone's circumstances. And I can tell you that as a mother, I would do anything in this world to protect my child. I would go into a country illegally, and I would take any chance I could if it meant to protect my child. So as a mom, I can vouch with certain things, and it's real easy to be like, well, you should have done it legally. But unless you've been through it, unless you know the process, it's not that easy.
And it's not okay. It's not okay for us to be scared, for even to go to Walmart or to go, like I said, to the doctor for a life or death situation. People are not getting their medications because they can't go to the doctor. They're being turned away at the pharmacy because they don't have a state ID, which is ridiculous, because that medication is needed. Like, they need it. It's not a drug. It's literally, their blood pressure medication, their
and one thing I will say, medication. Though, from the opposite side, I'm trying to kind of give both perspectives. One thing that I will say that I do not agree with at all is, please do not spread misinformation. Please do not share things. Like, I understand you're trying to do your due diligence by warning people of things, but when you're spreading false information, you're instilling more fear into people who are already scared. Mm-hmm. I'm only saying this because I saw this the other day. I don't know if you saw Cynthia share it. people were sharing a post all over my Facebook. I mean, I'm telling you, every time I was scrolling, I was seeing this post. People were sharing it all over the place. People were going to the banks and taking their money out because they were told that if they were Hispanic and they had bank accounts, that their money and their funds were going to be frozen. And a girl that I personally know shared it, who works at that bank, and was like, please call the bank if you have any questions. Like, please do not fear that your funds are going to be frozen. But people were spreading it, like it had multiple shares on it. So then you're causing and creating more fear into people, and the information that you're sharing is not even true. So that's another thing too. Like, kind of, if you're doing your due diligence and you're warning people and you're warning your community, make sure you're checking the facts behind it before you do so.
There, like me personally, I do share stuff like that, and I have posted things like that because I have physically went and saw them, physically took pictures of them,
Right.
of their vehicles. I have seen them. That's the only way and reason that I would do it. But then they had people that were saying that I was doing it to scare people, that I was doing it to make people not want to go out and this and that. No, I feel like they have a lot of people that I know personally that are looking at us, sharing those things because they do have to travel for work. They do want
And our entire family could be targeted due to
Yeah.
the fact that they are Hispanic.
Yeah, and it's like like I said, personally, I check the facts. If I am available, I will go and look. And if they're not there, I'm gonna say they're not there, or at this time they were not there anymore. But I feel like in that point, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I try to help people because I feel like I would want the help too. I would want to know.
But do you feel like it causes more anxiety and
Yeah, they
fear?
have a lot of people that really just do it to
Yeah.
do it, not because they care. They want to just instill, that fear in people. And I feel like that's not okay either,
It's not. Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that are incorrect, that people just hear it and they kind of go with it. It's just like people that do not have a legal status here cannot receive Medicaid. They cannot receive benefits. They cannot receive their 401k, their retirement. So they're really just working, and they have people that do get taxes taken out, and they do pay thousands of dollars in taxes, and they don't
Yeah,
get
people
anything
make the
back.
assumption that because they are here illegally that they are not paying taxes and things like that, but they are. They're just under a EIN.
Yeah.
People assume like, oh, well, you're freeloading and you're this and you're that, and we're paying taxes in this country. It's only fair that you are too. A lot of them are. A lot of them are paying taxes just
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah, they have in 2023 immigrants in the United States paid nearly over $6 billion in taxes.
6 billion.
$6 billion, over $6 billion in taxes, and in 2023 they also immigrant households alone combined an estimated $89 billion in federal, state, and local taxes.
Yeah.
And that's a lot
That
of money,
is.
and that's
Especially
something,
for people who assume like, oh, you're freeloading off my country and
that's
this and
something
that.
they can't, they can't go and file taxes and get that money back. They're only paying, and that's
And
what they choose to do.
Yeah.
They're benefiting a place where they're living and they're working, and that's fine. Like, they take it as it is. They're benefiting from getting paid, but they're also benefiting our economy with their tax paying.
Oh, they're benefiting our economy with groceries, with, produce, with
Yeah.
construction, with, they're building businesses for us to work. They're building places for us to have jobs, and people are very quick and to be ugly and nasty about how, oh, well, they're taking our jobs from us. No, they're doing the jobs that you're not wanting to do.
Yeah.
And they're doing it for the bare minimum and breaking their backs and busting their ass to give their families a better life. So let's look at it like that
Yeah, I
too.
feel like
There's a way to look at everything.
Yeah, there's jobs that people really don't want to do, but Hispanics, immigrants, they don't have other options. They don't either because they don't have a social security number and they can't, fill out the application and go to work. That they have to take the even under minimum wage.
I
They're
would say
getting
the under the
yeah.
table jobs that you
Yeah.
think that they're getting paid all this money for, they're getting paid the bare minimum.
Yeah, they're
The
getting
bare
it's
minimum,
like
half
I'm not,
of minimum
I'm not
wage.
educated in how much they're getting paid. For
Because
picking
everybody's different.
strawberries.
Yeah,
for picking
everybody's different.
strawberries and picking
But
the
when your dad first came to this country, how much was he making?
he was making like $3 a week, $5 a
Yeah.
week. It was like and not a week, but like per little
Yeah.
container, and it was like he was getting paid $100 a week, and he
Yeah.
thought that he was making
That
bank
was
at
like
that,
money. That was
Yeah.
rich to them.
Yeah, that was.
And you
yeah.
also just have to keep in mind like the conditions that these people are escaping from. Okay? Like the United States is built on the fact that we are a melting pot, that there is a variety of cultures. Like there are, I can say, well, let me finish before I lose my train of thought. We're built on the fact that we are a melting pot. So why all of a sudden are we so against with integrating our cultures? And as far as being how I kind of had said earlier, like I can understand the rules and the laws behind it because of look at everything we're going through, or look at everything that happened whenever the borders weren't, when Biden was in office and the borders were not in control. Terrorists entered, rapists entered, drug cartels have entered. So, you also kind of have to look at it like, yes, I understand that, how can I word this? Like, I understand that there shouldn't be such restriction on immigration and such restriction on coming into the country, but I also feel like there should be laws and restrictions for reasons. You know what I mean? Like
there should be boxes that you have to, be
Yeah.
able to provide proof of, your criminal record back in your
But
country.
it's like
and
at this point,
things
it's
like
beyond
that.
border
Mhm.
control. It is inland. It is absolutely inland. They are doing border control through cities, businesses, schools. Like it's past that. But I do know that when the borders were not, locked down, there's I feel like little people probably getting prepared to do who knows what to our country.
Yeah.
But those are things. It's all done. But we just have to go about it humanely. Humanely. Yeah.
And it's like I feel like sometimes they use people to their advantage. Until you're not good to them, until you're not useful to them anymore, then you're like, they're illegal, take them out, deport them,
Yeah.
And like, just thinking back on when Katrina came in 2005, New Orleans was no more. Like they
Yeah.
literally was zero. Like they went from having a home, having a job, having a vehicle to having nothing. Literally everything was, taken from everybody down in New Orleans. And more than half of the people that came down to rebuild New Orleans was Hispanic. They were Hispanic and
Yeah.
they rebuild New Orleans, and nobody back then was like, hey, are you illegal?
Right.
Can't work at my house. Are you illegal? Can't work
Yeah.
on my roof. They were just trying to, get their, their house rebuilt, their, whatever they needed rebuilt. And that was like, they didn't see a problem in their skin color and
Right.
the way they looked and the way they spoke. Like they didn't see a problem. When they had those fires in California not too long ago, and
Yep.
they had Hispanic firefighters. They literally crossed the border from Mexico to come help.
To help put the fires out.
Help put the fires out. They left their families. They left their country to come help us. Even
To come
after-
help this country that is
Yeah.
now turned around and treating
even
them like this.
after we had people that were being deported, that were being treated inhumanely, and they still Mexicans will always show up. They will always come through. They will always help. Doesn't matter who is doing them wrong, who is doing them dirty. They're still, if they see a problem, if they see that they can help, they're gonna come through. It's like I feel like we don't see any color, we don't see any race. And like you said before, we all literally bleed red.
We do.
We all bleed red.
And if you
So-
took anything from this episode, I hope it's the fact that you can have two different perspectives but still love one another. You can have two different perspectives, two different cultures, and still support one another. Because like I said, politically, I do have some, not all, but some different beliefs politically, and I still support and have the Hispanic community's back like you don't know what. I love the Hispanic community. I love my family. I love my married family. I love all those things. And I hate and I am heartbroken that people are having to feel these things, go through these things, and have fear instilled in them. So just know you can have different political beliefs and still just be a decent human being.
It doesn't take much to be a decent human being. Like you said, we all have different beliefs. We all have different points of views, which is fine.
But what's right is right and what's wrong is
and
wrong.
Just be human.
Yeah.
Literally, just be human and be kind. Like, it doesn't take any effort
Have
to be
some
kind.
compassion, and have some compassion and understanding for what some of these families are going through. And how some of these people are feeling, because again, like, people are real quick to be like, oh, well, they should have came here legally, but it's not even just the illegal community. It is the legal community too that is also living in fear and anxiety. So let's just remember that, and hopefully you could take something from this episode, or kind of maybe you took some facts that you didn't know, maybe you learned something new, or maybe you just kind of didn't feel so alone in knowing that you're not the only person out here that is living in fear.
Yeah, we are. We all are a huge community, and we all are always here to have your back. And just know that nosotros los mexicanos somos unos chingones, always.
What she said.
We're gonna be here, and we're always gonna, if we're giving the path to become legal, we're gonna take it. People that are able to take it will take it. But just please, just open up doors for us, and let us. And that's gonna weed out the bad people too. People
It is.
that can't. Become
And let's
legal,
just
and-
pray that things get better and things get easier, and maybe there will be, some kind of light at the end of this tunnel.
Yeah, there always is. God is above all. God is good, and He will always, have our back
And
make
find
it
a way to
happen.
make this
Yep.
right. Yep.
Yep. And yeah. So thank you guys for listening. And like you said, hopefully you guys take something from this, and just know that we're always here. Thank you guys for listening.
Bye, besties.